Anyone that
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50-year-old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the Crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden, then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie eight, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. It's the Friday edition of the show as we get you ready for the weekend. Speaking of which, some major coverage of a major championship this weekend here on SportsGrid. Of course, the Open Championship moving to the final rounds on Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you tune in live here to SportsGrid tomorrow morning and Sunday morning as we'll have live updates and odds and go through it all with you. We'll also have an update on today's action coming up in just a little bit. Also, Jim Gazzale joins us from Legal Sports Report. We'll get the very latest in the SportsGrid sound off. And also, Major League Baseball is back in action tonight, thank goodness, for all of us. Live action going on this weekend in baseball. The WNBA is off. They have the All-Star game coming up. So let's roll right through it, and we'll get started on the business side this morning, which is a good place to start with DraftKings. And as I just mentioned, the WNBA making a very big announcement ahead of the All-Star game coming up this weekend. They make an announcement to become the official sports betting and daily fantasy partner of the league. So more money coming to the WNBA. They receive rights to the league and collective team IP with access to marketing opportunities with the AT&T WNBA All-Star game, which of course you will see on Saturday. Also, the WNBA postseason push. It's brand new. It's a content platform featuring league highlights, social integrations, odds updates focused on the latest WNBA standings throughout the final couple of weeks of the regular season into September. Good timing for the WNBA coming to a close in September with the NFL getting underway there. Meanwhile, is it possible that the Philadelphia 76ers could leave Philadelphia? I would say very unlikely, but that is the story that we're bringing you this morning. Of course, the state of New Jersey is trying to push their way in to the 76ers to get a team back in the NBA to an arena that would be built in Camden, New Jersey. People familiar with the discussions confirmed to the New Jersey Star-Ledger. Sources indicated that talks have picked up recently, but naturally, when you hear this sort of stuff, it's sort of a way to get a new stadium built in Philadelphia, not as much in New Jersey. Although I do remember the old Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. Went to several NBA games there, as I remember. I think John Calipari was the head coach of the Nets when I was there as well, a long time ago. Speaking of new stadiums, that's the focus today. Oakland has a lot of stuff going on. We'll get to that in a minute. Tampa Bay, good news for them. They got their new stadium approved from the city council. So at least the Rays seem to have a blueprint in place to have a new stadium built. And no word on when this will start or when it will end, but there was some speculation that the Rays eventually could leave Tampa Bay Doesn't appear to be the case. Next few years, they'll break ground and they'll have a new stadium there as well. All right, Major League Baseball also yesterday, in an off day, decided to receive and release some news. The opener of the Major League Baseball season is going to be in Tokyo, March 18th. It will be the Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs. That's one of the highlights of the schedule. March 27th is the traditional opening day. That's a Thursday. Rivalry weekend, May 16th through the 18th. The All-Star game next year. Probably will go to that, I'm assuming, in Atlanta, like I did this year in Texas. And then the final day of the regular season will be September the 28th. Naturally, it was a slow day in baseball yesterday with no games. So good idea to release that as well. All right, so let's check in with the Open leaderboard right now. And as it stands, Shane Lowry's in the clubhouse, and he is the leader for the time being. Daniel Brown is in second, followed by Justin Rose, Billy Horschel. Also, you see Scotty Scheffler. He finished 2 under for the day, so he's fallen back a little bit. Lowry is the favorite as it stands right now in Scotland to win the Open Championship. We'll have an update on this coming up a little bit later in the show. But one of the other stories that has percolated from the Open Championship, unfortunately, has been the play of Tiger Woods, as Woods is 14 under par, clearly not going to make the cut going into the weekend. Yesterday, he spoke about his health and where things stand moving forward.
Feeling a lot better than I did at the beginning of the year. After the end of last year, it was tough, and then I haven't played a whole lot. And I think that, as the year has gotten better, the year has gone on, I have gotten better. I just wish I could have played a little bit more. But I've just been saving it for the majors just in case I do something pre-major and then take myself out of it. So hopefully next year will be a little bit better than this year.
Yeah, right now, Tiger Woods, unfortunately, folks, in 149th place at the British Open. So naturally, his day will be done, and Tiger will not be seen this weekend. We'll see what his future holds on the golf course moving forward. A lot of discussion on social media about, is this the final time we'll see Tiger Woods play in a major? This is true. All right, let's get to Major League Baseball. We got games tonight. They're all back. Every team in action tonight. 14 games, 28 teams playing. By the way, the only teams not playing tonight, Brewers Twins. I have no idea why that is. Also, in case you missed it, last week was the Major League Baseball draft, the first-year draft. It started last weekend. It ended earlier this week. It looks like Chase Burns has a new contract. He broke Paul Skeens' draft bonus record, $9.25 million signing bonus for the Cincinnati Reds. He's out of Wake Forest. He's the second overall pick in the draft. Other picks are being signed, as you'll see on social media, and be introduced this weekend as well. Oakland A's executive Sandy Dean told the Las Vegas Stadium Authority on Thursday that the club doesn't expect to spend the entire $380 million amount of public money allocated to build a new stadium in Las Vegas. Dean says the A's are ready to spend $350 million of those funds. $30 million would still be on the table. Naturally, they are going back and forth as to whether or not this will happen. The A's, in their schedule released, by the way, across the league, released themselves in abbreviated ATH. No team, no city, just athletics. That's it. Diamondbacks and Cubs set to go the first game this afternoon, 2:20 Eastern. It will be a really good pitching matchup as Justin Steele is on the mound against Ryan Nelson. And right now the Cubs are minus 166 on the money line. All right, NFL news. We've got training camps opening next week, rookie camps opening this weekend. And the Washington Commanders have made sweeping changes in the front office across the board with their new ownership taking over. The latest one was released yesterday. Jason Wright, he was the first black team president in NFL history, no longer serving in that role and will leave the Commanders after the season. A team spokesman confirmed he'll serve as a senior advisor until his departure. So AKA he's going to get paid this year and then bail after the season is over. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars are trying to recoup that money from this gentleman named Amit Patel, who stole $22 million from the team. And they're also seeking $66 million in damages. I guess the only question is, with this individual named Patel, who was wagering and betting all the money that he stole from the Jaguars, how in the world could the Jaguars possibly think they could get their money back? So maybe this is ceremonial in different ways. Also, this guy Patel, with some of the funds, bought Tiger Woods' putter from 1996 and also spent $78,000 on plane flights. Troy Aikman and Lamar Jackson going head-to-head. What's this all about? The NFL MVP is challenging Aikman's use of their shared number 8. That's the number that Aikman wore, and the same as Lamar Jackson through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There's a complaint. Jackson says that Aikman's attempt to use the word 8, E-I-G-H-T, on apparel and bags would cause confusion with Lamar Jackson's brand as well. I guess so. If you can sue, have at it. New Orleans Saints on Thursday placed right tackle Ryan Ramczyk on the reserve, physically unable to perform list. The move means that Ramczyk will miss the entire season in the NFL. Paris Olympics Organizing Committee said Friday that outage with the impact of the global cyber outage on its operations was limited. Ticket sales were unaffected, and accreditation and uniform deliveries have been affected 1 week after the game. So good news there. Odell Beckham Jr., he was suing Nike for undisclosed reasons. He was awarded no money. Basically, they did nothing wrong. Alabama makes an announcement now that it looks official that Nick Saban is done, retired, maybe a little bit strong. What they are going to do is name their football playing field at Bryant-Denny Stadium Nick Saban Field. A lot of championships for Nick Saban, so definitely worth doing. We'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire. When we come back, it's time to visit with Kyle Irving of Sporting News. Second half of the baseball season opens up, although 100 games have been played by everybody, so that, of course, means about 60 to go. Who ends up in the postseason? We'll see if we can sort it out next.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
1, 2, 3, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back to NewsWire. They say it's the second half of the Major League Baseball season, but as I check the standings, I see teams have played between 95 and 100 games. So it's really not the second half of the season. It's the end of the season, and it begins tonight. Let's bring in Kyle Irving of Sporting News. We've got a lot of data, we've got a lot of information, and we've got standings, and we're going to go through them here today. Kyle, thanks for coming on NewsWire. Great to catch up.
Always good to be on here, Craig. Ready to talk some baseball and dive into the second half of the season.
Yeah, it is. Well, you just said second half. I just got done telling you, Kyle, it's not the second
Right.
half. 100 games being played already.
Unofficial second half.
Unofficial. There you go. Okay, so I guess let's start with this. The division leaders in the National League, are these division leaders the winners at this point? Phillies, I think it's fair to say, are going to be really hard to challenge at this point, given they're almost 30 games over 500 and several games, almost 10 games ahead of the Braves. Dodgers 56 and 41. Brewers, the big surprise of that division, 55 and 42. Do you see any team challenging for the division at this point? Do you think that these are sealed up?
What's most interesting is that the Phillies have been the most dominant team in baseball, and I actually think that the Braves are a team that would have had the best chance to actually make a run and try and catch their tail just like they did last season. But to me, I feel like the Phillies are a lock to win the NL East. The Brewers, even though that's a very, very close NL Central, I feel like they're just so much better than the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Reds. I think the Cubs as well. The NL West, they have the Diamondbacks, who I think are going to make a push in the second half of the season. I do expect them to make a push into the NL wildcard race, but I don't know if they're going to make up that 7-game ground on LA. So, it feels like the safe take to say right now, but I do think the Phillies, Brewers, and Dodgers end up being the teams that win the pennant in each division. But I would still watch out for the Braves just in case they can get hot and try and put a dent in Philly's lead.
Yeah, and the Braves have had no success, almost none, winning the division. Once they get to the postseason, they've been knocked out. They're in the wild card spot right now with the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets. But as we saw last year, Kyle, this is going to probably go down to the last day of the season because the Diamondbacks have gotten hot. They're right there. San Diego is 1 game over 500. Pittsburgh is a 500 team. And simply put, any team that goes on a 5-6 game winning streak at this point, Kyle, it may not mean much over the course of the season, but it does mean a lot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the Braves are a team that is going to be a lock for one of those wild card spots. But after that, it gets really interesting. The Cardinals have a negative run differential, and they have the 5th toughest strength of schedule going into the second half of the season. I really like the Diamondbacks as a team that can kind of jump into contention. They're going to have Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez, who they picked up in the offseason. I thought that was a great pickup in free agency, who hasn't pitched yet this season. Both of those guys are expected to return at some point in August. And Corbin Carroll is going to find his level at some point. Like, we've been waiting for it all season. He started to get into a little bit of a groove before the All-Star break, and I expect their talent to kind of prevail there. The Padres are another interesting team. Joe Musgrove is going to be coming back at some point in the second half of the season. But when you look at teams like the Pirates, Jared Jones is out. Even though Paul Skeens has been incredible, we saw them kind of tail off when they were in a similar position around the All-Star break last year. I feel like the same goes for teams like the Reds, the Giants, the Cubs. There's a lot of teams in that mix. I just don't know if those teams have the talent to overtake, teams like the Diamondbacks or the Padres, who are going to be trying to jump in ahead of the Cardinals and the Mets.
Yeah, and I think, Kyle, when you look at it, I mean, the truth is that these teams have opportunities coming up in a couple of weeks to make trades and make themselves better. But what we've seen in Major League Baseball is less of a push from some of these wild card teams to do so because they know that they could be making trades just to get knocked out immediately. So that's the one side of it, Kyle. But here's the other side of it. The Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks would tell you, Kyle, last year, it was worth doing what we did because we got all the way to the World Series. So I guess that's the dynamic, as you mentioned, that the Diamondbacks will fight the Padres, the Pirates, the Reds, and the Cubs. And we'll get to the Cubs here in a minute. As an example, I think for them, personally, it would be foolish for them to push the foot down. I mean, they don't look good enough to get far in the playoffs at all.
I completely agree with that. And they were in a similar situation last year, too. Cody Bellinger was a name that kept popping up around the trade deadline. And I think he's going to be a name that pops up around the trade deadline again this year, even though he's on the injured list, because to your point, they just don't look good enough. Their starting pitching hasn't been at the level that it was last year. Their bullpen's been a disaster, and they don't have enough offense. So to me, it would be kind of foolish for them to be a team that's a buyer at the deadline. Maybe they don't go all in as a seller and trade some of their top guys, but I do think that, sometimes just standing pat and seeing how things play out might be the best opportunity there. And, Cody Bellinger, again, is the name to watch for them at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I would agree. Their total right now on FanDuel is 80.5, plus 100 on the over. I mean, Kyle, I don't want to waste time on this. I think we both will probably look toward the under here at minus 130. So let's go to the Reds here for a minute. Reds are an interesting team. They've gotten better, Kyle, as the season has gone on. Their active total is 78.5 right now. And, I did think, Kyle, at the beginning of the season that the Reds were one of those teams to watch. I mean, there's been a number of different reasons. I think offensively they've underperformed a little bit. Maybe they thought they'd be better than what they are. Starting pitching has been okay, but maybe we just overestimated the team to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, if Resigns continues to hit like Barry Bonds, then they might be in a pretty good spot going into the second half of the season here. But, I don't know about that over 70.5 win total. Like you said, they just haven't been able to put it together this season. I think, right off the bat, Matt McClain suffering that injury to start the season, that played a major role as well as a kid who was in the Rookie of the Year race last year. But they are expected to get him back at some point in the second half of the season here. It's just going to be tough. I mean, we're talking about how that's a crowded NL Central field. And that means they're going to be going up against a lot of good teams night in and night out that are also fighting for playoff spots. So it's going to be tough to kind of overtake teams like, the Pirates who are playing better. And they're going up every night against teams like the Cardinals who are fighting for a spot, the Cubs who are fighting for a spot, and the Brewers who are trying to hold on for the division.
Yeah. Speaking of the Pirates, and you mentioned Skeens, Jared Jones, hopefully comes back for them at some point. I don't know, Kyle, I get the sense that them finishing 500 is something they want to do. Like, I think that they're going to make some moves. It may not be significant, but when you've had these poor years like the Pirates have had going on almost a decade, doesn't it feel like they kind of owe it to the fans to push a little bit?
Especially when there's something exciting like Paul Skeens and Jared Jones right now. Like, that's something to kind of get the fan base bought back in on this franchise and maybe making, like you said, moves in the margins at the trade deadline, just acquiring some, maybe not the biggest name stars that are available, but guys who can make an impact to try and get them to that 500 level. I'll be interested to see if they're a team that's going to be buying after falling out of the playoff race around this time last year.
All right. Thanks, Kyle, for coming on.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie eight, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
It's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We got another topic to cover here on the show, which of course is the upcoming Olympics. Folks, we're going to be hot and heavy with that starting next week. Before we do that, let's get to all of our hot topics here. It's time for the SportsGrid Sound Off. Let's begin with, of course, one of the hottest topics right now with the Olympics. Has nothing to do with the actual sports. It's the people that are covering it. We've seen Flavor Flav at a pool. We've seen Snoop Dogg running. Now we hear that Kelly Clarkson is going to be part of the Olympic coverage. We've even heard that Al Michaels are going to have artificial intelligence. He'll be part of it, but not really there. Very bizarre happenings right now as we get ready to descend on Paris. Yesterday, Gabe was on with Scott Farrell. They broke down exactly what the Olympic coverage could look like.
You're telling me Peyton Manning and Kelly Clarkson are hosting the Olympics? What is happening out of the world?
Yeah, you know what? I just saw Peyton Manning this morning on the Pat McAfee show, and it's always a pleasure listening to talk about quarterback play and NFL football and college football like he was. But it's the problem with NBC and the Olympics. It's just one big ball of fluff, bro. There's no sports to it. So I get it. You know what I mean? It's entertainment. Snoop Dogg's going to be part of the package as well. And Snoop Dogg's just part of every package, isn't he, Scott? Like whatever it is. Hey, the hip hop awards, hey, so let's get Snoop Dogg. Country music awards, let's get Snoop Dogg. Olympics, let's get Snoop Dogg. Let's name a bowl game after him. Like,
Super Bowl.
You figure this guy fits in everywhere, bro. Like he's a chameleon. Like he'll get hired, like he'll be everywhere for the rest of eternity. But I just sort of like kind of spit my drink up when they're like tuning into our Olympic coverage with Mike Tirico, Kelly Clarkson, and Peyton Manning. And I'm thinking, so I'm sure Kelly Clarkson put a lot of work in, Scott, breaking down the rugby sevens, bro.
It will be funny to see. I don't know. I understand where the guys are coming from, but let's be honest. Who is waking up that early to watch the Olympics anyway? I personally think that some of this will deliver some viral moments. We'll probably be talking about them right here on the SportsGrid Sound Off in the future. Second half of the baseball season is getting underway. Some live win totals, of course, able to be bet right now on all of the betting sites. Kevin Walsh has his sights set on a team in the American League East.
Second half hype is underway as we leave the All-Star break for the Major League Baseball season. We approach the MLB trade deadline where we have to find out who will be a buyer and who will be a seller. And that could also help us make win total bets heading into the second half of the year. I think it's likely the Rays are sellers. I've been unimpressed with them through the first half of this season, and they've been exceeding expectations. An updated win total of 80.5. I look to the under, and I think Tampa Bay could move off some key pieces. On the other end of it, a team that's below 500 that I think could be willing to buy is the Cincinnati Reds. This team checking in with a win total right now of 78.5. Again, their expectations right now from the first half, closer to a team 3 games above 500, not below. They'll bounce back, be aggressive, and make a push for the NL wild card. Should be a fun second half. Craig, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Tampa Bay is interesting. Generally speaking, they don't make major moves at the trade deadline, even when they're in it. So I think Kevin brings up a good point. Now that they're sort of on the border, which way do they go? We'll find out coming up very soon. All right, we'll also find out coming up very soon what college football in the Southeastern Conference is going to look like with Texas and Oklahoma joining the fray. Does it make it more difficult for an Auburn team that has struggled through the years to beat Alabama? That probably will not change this upcoming season, barring something that I don't see. Hugh Freeze at the SEC meetings basically saying that he's seen all of these games that these two teams have played back and forth. 2-8 against Alabama. Last year he lost the game, and he is sick and tired of it.
You're in our state, so you know that I'm very transparent. And prior to us arriving, we were getting our teeth kicked in down there. And we're changing that, and we have to. We've got to get our share in our state. There's a lot of good football that's played in that area, and they're always going to have some players, and we've got to win our share of battles there, and so we've made it a priority for sure.
It's hard to go back and remember, but there was a day not that long ago that this rivalry was intense. Auburn used to beat Alabama quite a bit. We'll see if that changes this year. We'll be right back with Jim Gazzale.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this windy, this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and anybody winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie, then that little putt from Anivan on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to have Jim Gazzale back in the house from Legal Sports Report. We'll have updates on Indiana, their sports betting landscape, and also hit on New Jersey as well. But first, we start off with horse racing as we bring Jim in, the very latest going on there. And boy, 3 letters that we haven't talked about in quite a bit here on the show, Jim, with sports betting, TVG. I mean, once upon a time, before sports betting was legalized, I mean, we could have done segments and talked all about TVG. So thanks for coming on the show. Let's get the very latest. What's going on with them in New Jersey? Looks like there's a little bit of a change in the landscape there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you recall, Craig, but this is our 1-year anniversary together on SportsGrid. And this week last year, I kicked off my initial segment talking about a New Jersey horse racing story. So I think it's only fitting that we kick it off with this TVG story coming out of New Jersey from late last week, early this week, where we found out that NYRA-Bets, the online wagering app for the New York Racing Association, is going to be taking over the pari-mutuel betting systems in New Jersey, which paves the way for additional horse betting apps to enter that New Jersey market. TVG operating their app there, which is called 4NJ Bets. They've had a monopoly there for the better part of the last 10 or 15 years as the only option for New Jersey horse players. Now, this has kind of been talked about. There's been some rumblings about this change over the last 6 or 8 months, and the news finally broke within the last couple of days that NYRA-Bets is going to take over that main license, and what they'll be able to do is essentially sub-license that ADW capability out to various other operators. So, of course, we'll see NYRA-Bets get turned on in New Jersey. You'll have the likes of Twin Spires, another popular betting app, horse betting app, ExpressBet as well. And then there's a ton, really countless ADWs out there that I'm sure will be itching to get into that New Jersey market. So a couple of regulatory, bureaucratic, red tape hurdles that still need to get settled in New Jersey before we'll see, just how many of these horse betting apps will arrive in the state. The New Jersey Horse Racing Commission still needs to essentially rubber stamp this initial deal, which would have NYRA take over, and then all of these other horse betting operators will approach NYRA and work up some third-party deals and contracts to allow them to operate in the state. Just speaking to some, insiders, if you will, sounds like perhaps maybe by the fall we'll start to see a handful of these ADWs be open and operational in New Jersey. So nothing on the immediate horizon, but within the next couple of months, that New Jersey horse betting market will no longer be a monopoly, and we'll see at least a handful of additional ADWs active in the Garden State.
Yeah, which is really a changing of the guard, as we would say. And look, I think that these horse, the betting operators just have to understand there's so much competition out there now. They're very fortunate, to be honest, that they still have that big footprint, that everybody recognizes that they are like elite in the industry. Others are going to join in. It just was a matter of time. All right, finances are in from New Jersey, the latest in terms of the money with this latest quarter, Jim. Always appreciate you bringing that to the table. What can you tell us? How did New Jersey perform recently?
Yeah, so New Jersey sportsbooks saw year-over-year growth in handle in June, up 27% last month compared to June of 2023. Nearly $750 million in handle in June compared to about $590 in June of 23. And, it's interesting to kind of track this New Jersey market over the last year or so. We did see some declines there, a little bit of some sputtering in that New Jersey market when, of course, the New York online market opened up in January of 22. And, New Jersey kind of suffered a little bit from that. We recall all of those stories of New Yorkers driving across the George Washington Bridge, sitting on the other side in New Jersey territory, placing their bets on a Sunday morning, and then going back to their apartments in Manhattan or any of the five boroughs and watching their bets play out during NFL Sunday. So when that market opened up in New York, New Jersey did feel a little bit of a hit. Though what we've seen over the last 6, 8, even 10, 12 months is that New Jersey has really regained its footing since then. June and the month prior just came off of a streak of $6 or $7 billion months in handle in a row in New Jersey. And of course a lot of that can be attributed to in these last 2 months just the limited options on that sports betting calendar. But overall, I think just a pretty positive trend that New Jersey has seen in the last year since it's kind of regained its footing, like I said, from when New York opened up at the beginning of 22. Overall, FanDuel, DraftKings still tops in that market, but again, just a pretty positive trajectory that New Jersey's been on in the last handful of months.
Yeah, and that's really good news, especially in a time of the year where really sports is not all that prevalent with sports betting. That will change over the next couple of months. We know that. Okay, so Indiana, was on the flip side of this, Jim, when we talked last a couple of months ago about their finances and the hold and the revenue coming in. What is the latest in their financial update going on in that state?
Yeah, sort of a similar sort of trend like we just spoke about in New Jersey. Indiana certainly feeling the pinch a little bit last year in 2023 when you had Ohio launch in January of last year, and then we saw Kentucky come online. They launched their retail operation in early September, and then Kentucky sports betting apps came on at the end of September, and that really had a impact on Indiana. And they suffered through bits of declines throughout last year, but since the beginning of this year, a nice little trend for them, kind of returning to these 2022 figures in both handle and revenue each month. So we've hit 4 straight months now that Indiana handle and revenue has eclipsed those figures that we saw in 2022. And speaking with Eric Ramsey, who does a lot of our analysis work at Legal Sports Report. That's one thing he was telling me that he was really looking to see if this Indiana market could do. Could it at least approach and reach those 2022 levels again and even surpass that? And we've seen those figures that we've seen in the last couple of months here in 2024 really surpass those 2022 levels in Indiana, and which is, a positive trend. I think a lot of these markets are starting to mature a little bit. Bettors are betting where they live because a lot of these states are now legal. So we're getting a pretty solid and good indication of just the strength of some of these markets, these more mature markets like Indiana is, and certainly a really positive trend to see Indiana reaching and even surpassing those 2022 figures in handle and revenue over the last couple of months, Craig.
All right. Well, I think naturally it's also a really good time to sort of reflect on everything that has happened in sports betting financially this year. There's no question, Jim, that some of these states that have struggled a little bit financially, to make the same revenue that they did a year ago are going to find themselves in a really good spot next month with college football back and the NFL back in September. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Craig.
All right, Jim Gazzale from Legal Sports Report. Coming up next here on the show, it's time for a little last licks. Bronny James gets a present at a basketball game of a different kind. Never seen this one before. I'm sure you haven't either. I'll tell you what it is next.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Anibal winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie, then that little putt from Anibal on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
It's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Before we get to last licks, let's bring in Keith Stewart, of course. The Open Championship is going on right now. And, Keith, this is a fun event every year. It's harder to cover for us and for you and for everyone else, again, because a lot of this is happening while we're sleeping. But naturally, I guess let's start off with how well Shane Lowry has played. He right now, at least as of 20 minutes ago, was the leader at the Open Championship. And so let's start there. You've been watching intently. What has he been able to do to get so far under par? It seems like the course has played tough through the first couple days.
Oh, there's no doubt the golf course is playing tough. Royal Troon is showing its teeth with the wind, and Shane Lowry will finish the day in the lead. There's probably no doubt about that. There's only one guy who's on the golf course who's even under par, and that's Justin Rose, and he's 4 strokes back of Lowry. Lowry's been impeccable with his iron game, and he's made a ton of putts. Yesterday, he shot 5 under par, and he made everything that he looked at. And, growing up in Ireland, I think he has an advantage, and he's also the 2019 Open Championship winner. So growing up on this link style of golf, when the wind kicks up and you have to start to change trajectory and really just adapt and do the best you can and survive, the guys over there seem to have an advantage.
Yeah, and I think, Keith, the next topic would be, what most people were looking at yesterday, which was Scottie Scheffler was still either the favorite on FanDuel or among the favorites to win. He's now 2 under par. I mean, still very much within striking distance of Lowry and everybody else, but how would you assess his play through the first 2 days?
The only question marks coming for Scheffler on the way in was that, with a couple weeks off, would his ball striking still be at the level that it was when he won the Travelers? Or would it be, kind of the trouble that he faced finding the fairway down there at Pinehurst when he finished T41? Well, he answered those questions on the ball striking yesterday in round 1, and he didn't putt very good. But we're used to that storyline when it comes to Scotty. He mixed in some, again, great ball striking today and some average putting. So he's definitely a big part of the mix here. The number 1 player in the world. And when it just comes down to you throw the yardage book out the window and you just say, hey, I've just got to hit shots to certain yardages, there's probably nobody better in the world at doing that. So he's very live as we come into the weekend as far as who is going to be a favorite to win this thing.
Yeah, 5 back right now. That's not a lot with 2 days to play. Shane Lowry, as we said, in the lead. All right, so Keith, where do you think the cut lies here at this point, and where do you think we're kind of headed toward the weekend?
It's interesting. There's been a huge wave advantage for the PM AM guys. So that's the afternoon on Thursday and then the morning today, which would have been early morning for us. The guys that are out there right now are just facing complete carnage. Rory, JT, last week's winner, Bobby Mack had 2 triples in the first 4 holes. If you like entertaining golf, I mean, these guys are battling the elements like you wouldn't believe. And as such, before this afternoon wave went out, it was like +4 was the cut. And it's already looking like an 85% chance, 90% chance it moves to like +5, +6, really +6. It looks like the number.
Wow. I mean, that's a big number to make the cut there. I'm surprised to hear that. All right, so speaking of which, let's go to Bryson DeChambeau, who was the hot name on the tour. Basically this season, did not get off to the best start. What do you think happened with him out there?
Well, again, an American style of golf at which Bryson is really, really good at is very target-oriented, and you hit a lot of high golf balls. So the apex of your golf shots is up there in the wind. And when you come over here and you start to play in that cold, heavy air, and you start to just pull out the driver and you say, you know what, this is the way I play golf, and you fight the elements like that, then generally Mother Nature is undefeated. And she is showing her teeth this afternoon for sure. He's going to struggle. I mean, any of these guys that are out there this afternoon, if they're able to shoot a number that's even 1 or 2 over par, that would be really, really good golf. I mean, they're facing 25-mile-an-hour winds coming out of the wrong direction from the practice round. So if the wind's coming out of the south, the prevailing wind that they would have practiced on is the northwest, and they're seeing gusts over 30. And this is one of those really target-style links golf courses. It's not a lot like St. Andrews where there's a lot of landing areas. This is a tight golf course. And for Bryson, he got away with it at Pinehurst because that wiregrass that was in the rough, he was able to blast through with his power. You can't do that with fescue grass. And he found that out yesterday, and he's trying to change his ways coming into this today. But when you play one style of golf so well, you just can't adapt in 24 hours. So he'll be one of those very significant cut sweats because I'm sure a lot of people have money on him.
Yeah, a lot of people really rooting for him after the way that he has performed this year. All right, naturally, let's end here, which is not where we want to end, Keith. But again, it's just part of the game. A lot of discussion on shows like ours and social media about the future of Tiger Woods. Clearly finishing, if indeed he does finish in 149th place, is nowhere where he wants to be. He was very open and candid about saying he hasn't played a lot of golf and he's just trying to not get hurt in order to play in some of these championships. I mean, I think it's unfair, honestly, for people like me or just analysts to say that he should stop. It seems like that's what's going on right now, is people are saying he's got to know when to quit. That's some harsh testimony from one of the best golfers of all time.
I mean, I think the media needs to pump the brakes there. The guys themselves find Tiger inspiring to be there. And he's opened up over the last couple of years about how he has approached major championships, and he's taken a lot of guys under his wing. He's been a mentor, and now he needs to be out there, in and around these events because of, the role he's playing at the PGA Tour. So he'll get 5 months of rest here. He'll come back. He'll dominate in December at the Hero and with his son, and everyone will get hyped up. And overall, what we just want to see is him continue to get healthier. He has got to get physically healthier so he can play more golf when he's not on the golf course. And then we'll look ahead to Riviera next year in February. And, if December goes well, then there'll be a lot of hype on the train again. It's just, this year's been a tough one for him. T60 at the Masters, then 3 missed cuts in a row. Of course, everyone's going to jump on, it's like it's going to be the same thing with Rory because he had a bad Pinehurst, missing those late short putts. Right. And then, he's having a bad Open Championship. When it's not going in your direction, you have a lot of problems. When you're winning, no one picks on you. So for Tiger, he's won this year because he's getting physically better. Let's see what happens over the next 5 months and how he plays in December before the jury's completely out.
All right. Well said, Keith. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. Really appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Take care. Enjoy the Open.
All right. Keith Stewart with us. By the way, coverage of the British Open continues tomorrow morning here on SportsGrid. We'll be back with Last Licks next.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Golf Championships, and now we have Live.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
It's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Before we get to Last Licks, once again, British Open coverage here on SportsGrid, Saturday and Sunday morning live. When you wake up tomorrow morning, turn us on, whether it's on the app or you're streaming our show. live coverage Saturday and Sunday right through the trophy ceremony on Sunday morning. Now, let's get to some hot topics in sports. It's time now for some last licks. All right, former right tackle Willie Anderson, you could say one of the best in the game during the time that he played with the Cincinnati Bengals, had some interesting comments yesterday that really makes you think. Anderson says that he is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as of yet, and by the way, he probably will be, but he is not in there as of yet because of the movie The Blind Side. Okay. Anderson says that left tackle Michael Orr and the position that was played in the NFL left tackle was glorified in the movie, became the most important position in the NFL, and essentially because once Lawrence Taylor was in the NFL and he was rushing from the right side, you had to have somebody on the left side in order to block him, that the left tackle position just became so much more important than the right tackle position that right tackles are having a hard time getting in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well, at the very least, the comments, while I'm not sure that they're completely accurate, do make you think a little bit, because anytime we see a movie that's surrounded by sports, we do tend to glorify it, especially if the movie is good. Another good example of that would be Moneyball, which won the Academy Award, and of course Brad Pitt was in it, and memes and GIFs and all over the place on social media glorify that movie for all the success that analytics played in the history of success that the Oakland A's had for a number of years there. So, Willie, not sure if you're right or wrong, but I definitely do get the sentiment. A movie did make the left tackle more important, but not sure that it negatively affects the right tackle as well. Bronny James in the Summer League is off to a tough start. I think that's been determined at this point, but it hasn't stopped fans from showing up and giving him presents. But this one is one that I haven't seen before. Got to show you this. Bronny James at one of the Summer League games in Las Vegas was given a gift. And the gift was a rug. And the rug, although it's kind of hard to see there, I got to be honest, the rug was a rug of Bronny James himself. Now, Bronny put on the right foot here and said, oh, thank you very much, and really enjoyed it. And look, we've seen stuff like this before, but what is Bronny James going to do with a rug of himself? I guess you sort of accept it and do something with it. But I don't know how I would feel if I was an NBA player inviting people to my house and then they step in and then immediately there's a rug of themselves sitting on the floor. It would feel a little odd. But the sentiment is there. I get it. Not the greatest idea. Seems like more of a movie thing where somebody walks in a house and they have a rug of themselves. Doesn't really happen, but needless to say, good job by these fans for doing the right thing. All right, so now let's get to the latest food craze in Major League Baseball. This is at Coors Field, and it is called the Polar Pasta. The Rockies have a new ballpark food item of spaghetti and meatballs, except it is ice cream and donuts. Polar Pasta vanilla ice cream, donut holes, strawberry syrup, and mint. And as they say on social media, who is down to try this? I guess I would. Count me in. If indeed I was there, but I'm not. I think my trips are over in Major League Baseball ballparks for the year. Look, anytime something pops up on social media regarding food, I'm all over it, and so is Frank, naturally. Although this didn't happen at Yankee Stadium, so Frank's probably a little upset by that. Give it a shot over at Coors Field. Polar Pasta, vanilla ice cream, donut holes, strawberry syrup, and mint. I mean, that sounds delicious, right? Well, I have nothing to knock here at this point, so there you go. Thanks again to Jim Gazzale for coming on the show from Legal Sports Report, also Keith Stewart covering the PGA Tour, and also Kyle Irving from Sporting News. Thanks to our producer, Frankie B., and of course all our great production staff, including directors, graphics department, etc. I'm Craig Mish. Normally I would see you tomorrow morning for Fantasy Sports Today, but because of the British Open, we are preempted. So the next time I will see you is back here on Monday. Now keep in mind, next week, a lot of things happening in sports. We go from the slow time to the fast. The Major League Baseball trade deadline is coming up. NFL training camps are underway. And as soon as we hit August, it's time for some college football. So stick along for the ride with us. If I don't see you this weekend, I'll see you back here for our next edition of NewsWire. That is Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I hope you enjoy your rest of your weekend. I will see you then.